Welcome back to the 3 Tantric Self-Pleasure Secrets series. I'm Lynn Wolfbrandt. I'm a sexuality coach, and I specialize in sacred sexuality, women's sexuality, and self-pleasure. So today we are talking about breath. This is the second secret. And just like in yoga, just like in meditation, just like pranayama, breath is this powerful tool, right? It's this thing that's automatic, that's happening all the time. But when we manipulate with the breath, when we use the breath, we can make great strides in our self-pleasure, in our emotional release. It's really amazing. We can also expand pleasure through the breath, and we can get out of our heads, which so many of us suffer from, this kind of incessant chatter, the to-do list, and just not being fully present in our self-pleasure, like we talked about yesterday. So first off, I'd love for you to take a moment. If you can do an exercise right now, that would be great. I'll have you close your eyes if that feels comfortable for you. And just take a couple of cleansing breaths, so breathing in through the nose. And sighing out your breath. Slowing down, coming into your body like we did yesterday. And notice your breath. For so many of us, we're living in our heads instead of our bodies, which is how we've been encultured. It's totally okay. And we feel our breath just in our chest. So take a moment and see where you feel your breath. And start to see if you can expand your breath. So moving it all the way down to the diaphragm with your inhales. Maybe even letting your belly expand. And don't worry, I'll get to the sex part very soon. Seeing if you can breathe all the way down, even to your pelvic floor. And it's totally okay if your breath doesn't get there today. It's a process of relaxation, of being here. And go ahead and change your breath to in through the mouth and out through the mouth. So breathing in and out of the mouth gets us out of our heads. It gives us a bit more oxygen, helps us to be more connected to the body. And because our mouth and jaw are connected to the pelvis, if we can get a really relaxed breath going in and out through the mouth, the pelvis relaxes, there's more blood flow, oxygenation, and pleasure in our womb, in our vulva, in our vagina. You'll inhale. And exhale. In a way that feels deep, full, and connected. So that's your first sex breath. And you might think, how could I ever use that in sex? And believe me, the more practice you get, the more you're like, this feels amazing. I'll do this in sex. I'll teach my partner to do this because it gets us out of our heads and into our bodies, and it's an amazing tool. The best way to practice this is in your own self-pleasure. And you can experiment with a slower breath. So a really yin breath. And I'll go ahead and breathe again for a moment. You can breathe along with me. And as you can see or hear, the more comfortable I'm getting, the deeper the breath is getting. And that's a really beautiful way to play with the breath, to get out of your head and into your body. So the next breath that I'd like to share with you is a breath you can use to expand your pleasure. So you can use your breath to expand the sensation in your body. So go ahead, and if you feel comfortable, take a hand over your clothes and cup your vulva. And begin the connected breath. And imagine that there is a golden ball of light the size of your clitoris, right at your clitoris. And as you inhale, expand that ball of light just out like a centimeter or an inch. And as you exhale, contract it. So bring it to a pinpoint of light, condensed, full of sensation. And as you inhale, expand it out again, a centimeter or an inch. And on the exhale, bring it back to a pinprick, a tiny, just really condensed ball of sensational energy. And you'll use this in your self-pleasure practice by rubbing your clitoris and expanding the pleasure out on your inhale, and then bringing it back into that tight point on your exhale. So this is starting to help you use your breath to move pleasure. So you can move it out even further. You can experiment with moving it into your vagina. And this is energy work. And all this really is opening up the pathways. So you might not feel it right away, but don't get discouraged. The more you work with this, the more you will actually be able to move sensation with your breath. And just keep repeating it, repeat it. Work with that just 1 inch of expanding that pleasure, and then work with sending it into your vagina, or even sending it up to your breasts, inhaling it up to your breasts, exhaling it back down. And the more you work with this in your pleasure practice, along with that connected breath, the more you can stay in your body and expand your pleasure. So what's so important with this work is to be with whatever arises and to be gentle with yourself. And that was day 2 of Tantric Pleasure Secrets, and I'll see you tomorrow with day 3.